So, YouTube's interesting, dude. It'll just throw the most random shit at you. Either your phone's listening to you or your computer is, right?
Mm-hmm.
So, I want to kind of do something a little bit different.
Oh, what's that?
You know how I'm into niche titles, right?
Yes.
Kind of the most random shit.
Mm-hmm.
Have you ever heard of a game called Space Station 13?
No, I have not.
I wouldn't expect you to. And I don't have the ability to review, tell you what it's about, because it's really hard to describe. The only way is to kind of show somebody or have somebody else review it for you.
Okay.
So,
who did you have in mind?
Well, YouTube threw this video on my, homepage, and it's called Seth Reviews Space Station 13. And I'm like, oh, okay, I like Space Station 13. Clicked it, and this is a really funny fucking review, but it's also gives people the perfect understanding of what this game is about, because this game is it's kind of in its own mind like Dwarf Fortress.
Okay.
Ways where it's very complex, it's very simplistic, so people see the simplicity and they're like, oh Jesus Christ, why would I ever touch that? But if you invest the time into it, you can get really in depth. And this dude did a really funny video. So if you pull it up, just type in Seth Reviews, it's gonna be the first top video right there.
Okay.
Yeah. So
this one?
It's gonna be 22 minutes, but it's a funny video.
All right, let's check it out.
Yeah.
Hey people, Seth here. Today, I'll be covering a very niche, very infamous, and very autistic game that everyone's asked me to cover since day one. A game where you and many other real, living people with questionable social intelligence roleplay together on the worst space station in the universe, where aliens, shapeshifters, and traitors working for rival corporations are the least of your concern, where the greatest threat to your own existence are your own crew members. Hungry? Come to the station canteen, where the food is definitely poisoned. Injured? Head on down to medical, where half a medication has been relabeled as happy pills. Discouraged? You can try taking a painkiller instead. But it wasn't a painkiller, it was LSD. Having a bad trip? Don't worry, there's a security officer nearby to help, but he can't respond because he was murdered and replaced by a genetically modified monkey wearing his uniform. Hallucinating? Keep calm and focus on what's real. Unfortunately for you, the supermassive black hole expanding towards you is not a hallucination. It is, in fact, very real.
So far, just seeing everything here, does it tell you anything what the game's fucking about?
No!
No, exactly. But are you intrigued?
Yeah.
Do you think all this is a fucking lie?
I don't know at this point. It's just... Let's keep going.
Let's keep going.
The emergency shuttle has been called.
Welcome to Space Station 13. Space Station 13 has a very simple premise. Everyone has a job. Your objective? Do your best to delay the station's inevitable destruction, either at the hands of antagonists or at the hands of your own incompetent crew. Normally, I give a final score for a game at the end of a video. Not this time. Space Station 13, 10 out of 10, amazing, spectacular. Don't play it. If I'm being perfectly honest with you, Space Station 13 is a fantastic game, but I genuinely don't recommend you play it. Why? Because the engine it's running on is probably older than you, because the interface is a convoluted mess, and only usable because me and every other autistic chimpanzee who plays this game has committed the hotkeys to muscle memory because of the insane time investment and commitment required for you to learn a single role, and because, to be perfectly honest, the servers can't handle all of you. At best, we can handle, 30 extra players before you grind the servers to a halt. For all these reasons, Space Station 13 always was and always will be a niche title, and maybe that's for the best. But I can offer you something else. I've already killed your hopes and dreams of playing the game, so instead, let me share some stories of my...
So to kind of show people how to play the game is you're gonna have to go to tutorial.
Yeah.
Right? It's very much like Dwarf Fortress, where you look at Dwarf Fortress and what the fuck is going on? And it's a very complex system. and it requires a lot of time and investment to just learn the systems. And he kind of, if we continue on, he'll start with like little stories to kind of tell you and show you like the things that are possible in the game.
Okay.
And there's a lot of shit possible in this game, like insanely
Wonderful experience with Space Station 13. These stories span several years and several different servers, the names of which will forever stay anonymous because I respect their privacy, and because I've received threats from some of the more colorful servers to not mention them by name, or else. What's gonna happen if I don't comply? Are they gonna hire a Bitcoin assassin to run me over with his mobility scooter? Is he gonna stab me with his insulin pen? I don't know, but between you and me, I hate having cum delivered to my mailbox and would prefer to keep it that way. Anyway, I remember the first time playing Space Station very vividly. My friends told me to download it and hop on some shitty server. It had furries and erotic roleplay. More on that later. I entered around as an assistant, my job to give assistance and to get my hands burnt off trying to hack into places I don't have access to. As I'm screwing around with airlock wires, my friend comes running down the hallway, dragging someone's unconscious body. Frantically, he tells me, "Seth, quick, can you open this door?" Sensing the urgency in his voice, I do. He throws the body inside and sprints away. The airlock closes. 3 seconds later, something explodes. What the fuck was that? I ask. Oh yeah, I fed him potassium and water pills. It takes a while to metabolize. My friend had just murdered a man in cold blood by turning his body into a living, ticking potassium bomb. As soon as the man's digestive juices cracked through the potassium tablet, it reacted violently with the water in his stomach and exploded, killing him from inside out. After such a horrific display of homicide, I realized, hey, this game's pretty good. Fast forward a few weeks and I'm learning roles, calling shots, and ignoring every single rule of a server. I also ignored every single rule of medicine. I was a surgeon, top of my class, destined to go where no licensed professional ever has. Also, my friend's girlfriend started playing with us. To put it bluntly, she wasn't very good, but she was very interested in progressing the medical field in any way possible. Cargo had just delivered us some complimentary pizza, as thanks for patching up their boys after they got a little too intimate with the xenomorphs on mining station. Brilliance flashed before my eyes. My pupils widened. I started physically sweating, because she said the words I've always dreamt of hearing. Please, turn me into a pizza. And so, I got to work. Nurse, get me my scalpel, tweezers, protractor, bone gel, and the rest of the unfinished pizza. One horrified clown watched in the operating theater as I cleanly hacked off and cauterized her hands and feet.
This is literally like dreams that I've had that I can't explain.
This game lets you do so much shit. Like,
was it one person that developed this?
No, this has been a team of a lot of people, and its development cycle has been very convoluted. There's another guy, a channel, Mandalore Gaming, that also did a review. Yeah. He kind of goes over like the development cycle of what happened with this game. There's so many versions of it, and even the Something Awful crew got a hands on it, and they made their own server, and they keep building on it, and it's called like the Goon Squad. They're away from Something Awful now, but they still update their server. They still add new shit into this. So it is still, after like, I don't know, fucking 18, 20 something years, this thing's still running on the same engine. People are still building on it. But yeah, it is insane the amount of detail and the amount of coding and systems that are working.
It's pretty much open source for the most part. It's free to play.
Yeah. Well, yeah, like anybody can add whatever you want to it.
Oh, this is like that, you know, you ever heard of the telephone game where you'll say one thing for one person, the other person hears it, and then somebody says it to the next person, and then they interpret it incorrectly, and then it just keeps going down that chain where it just gets worse and worse and worse and worse. Holy shit. Let us continue.
Oh yeah.
I opened the pizza box and began attaching her new cheesy limbs. "Help! Sec to surgery," the clown blurted out. "He's turning her into a Papa John's." The head of medical stormed in with a host of security officers to...
By the way, I forgot to mention, everybody that's on the server is a playable character. There are no NPCs in there.
Oh.
So everybody's playing a role. So like the clown that made that comment, the people busting in and doing all
This
this.
is a role playing game.
This is a role playing game, like straight up RP. But and the only thing that you're supposed to do in this game, do your job. That's all it is. Do your job, role play your job, and then just keep doing your job to help extend the eventual destruction of the space station.
Detain me, but they were too late. Her hands and feet had already been replaced. Surprisingly, she could walk just fine on a pair of pizza feet, but her lack of opposable pizza thumbs meant that she couldn't really hold anything, let alone pick them up in the first place. However, her pizza hands did make for a convenient and portable source of nutrition. Despite her numerous protests that she consented to the surgery, the head of medical demoted me on the spot and banned me from ever practicing medicine, claiming that you can't consent to being a pizza. I was thrown in jail for the rest of the round. Clearly, there was no appreciation for the arts on this station. So, many rounds later, me and my friends found a new purpose, cleaning up the server, one erotic, furry roleplay at a time. Using telecommunications and meta-communications, I expertly pinpointed areas of high homosexual intent, namely the dorm rooms and the showers. As two Khajiit-looking cat men meet privately with one another, they will inevitably start writing words such as, "Ooh, Mayak has a barbed prickly surprise for you, my friend," and yes, "Not me with your thick Tajaran trunk." This is completely unacceptable. Once an act of high homosexual intent is in motion, several of our men would mobilize. As they groan, moan, and spit out hairballs on each other, a security officer would barge in, flashbang the feline fornicators, and tag team baton them into submission before another officer handcuffs them to the bed. On the other side of a contaminated dorm room, our team's atmospheric technician sets explosive C4 charges against the station glass. Quickly, we evacuate the biohazard exclusion zone and seal the airlocks. Romeo and Juliet barely have enough time to recover from the flashbang before the charges detonate, depressurizing the room and sucking their bodies out into the black vacuum of space. Another job well done. Many explosive decompressions later, erotic roleplay was considered a real occupational hazard. The Tajaran cat boys got creative, started doing group sessions instead, but these were quickly crushed by my friend playing the best roboticist I've ever seen in my life. The airlock doors to their sodomy chamber were welded shut to prevent interruptions, so he drilled right through them with a gigantic combat mech. The air inside was heavy with a sickly sweet smell of wet fur balls and toxoplasmosis. The furries didn't even have time to react before he started unloading shell after shell of flashbang grenades, and thus we all got banned. We paid the price. But to see half the server get flashbanged unconscious for 10 minutes straight, priceless. The server didn't last long anyway. The admin's mom shut it down as soon as she saw the electricity bill, so me and my friends went on to enrich other servers. I even got good at being a chemist. In other words, I always stole the syringe gun at the start of a round and filled it with lethal doses of chloral hydrate, for my own protection, of course. I also gave whatever chemical anyone requested, which gives me some moral ambiguity and 2 degrees of separation from any pranks or murders that took place as a result of said chemicals. If a clown asks for space lube, he's gonna get space.
Here you go. Hey, can I get some cocaine? Here you go, bud. Like, they're just gonna give it to you. And that's mostly every time I've played. Like, hey guys, do you have any sort of biological acid that just needs to stage for? Hold on. Walks off, cuts back. There you go. Thanks.
I don't know anything.
By the way, I'm just a chef. Why should I have? He's not gonna question. He's just gonna fucking give it to me.
Fucking drug dealer. God, there are very, very little words right now. We're gonna continue this fucking black hole.
Space lube. One time, a clown managed to lube the entire hallway outside of medical, all the way to departures. Now, departures is usually the place where the escape shuttle docks to get us out of our quickly burning heap of a station. However, if there's no call for a shuttle, departures is completely empty, besides the airlock, which the clown had hacked open. Several people came running through medical, slipped on the space lube, and accelerated themselves face first into the infinite vacuum of space. space. Security figured out it was the clown, and in true security fashion, also slipped on the space loop. With most of the crew floating around dead in space, the station had to be evacuated. He was later banned from playing clown ever again. Several rounds later, I finally spawned as a traitor.
Mission specifications decrypted.
Yes, you got spawned as a traitor.
And I had no idea what I was doing, but I wanted my first time to be special. Conveniently, an assistant comes in, bleeding all over, because he was probably trying to break into the armory without insulated gloves. His character sprite had maximum melanin and an
So, quick question. This is basically kind of like, in the sense of Dungeons and Dragons. So the person running the server will be the DM, of course. Or who is it that's...
Actually, there's no DM.
So who's driving the story?
So the system has its kind of own running gimmicks. Like the server runs each little scenario, and random things can happen, random events can happen, but it is primarily run by people running the station. So everybody has a job. Like you have security team, you have engineering, you have cargo, you have research team, you have chemists. Did I say security?
Yeah.
You could be a chef, you could be a bartender, you could be a janitor. Janitor has a very important job. Like
cleaning all that shit up.
Yeah, like everybody's job is extremely important in one sense or another. But people can just kind of do whatever the fuck you want to. But like you want to do your job. So I love being a bartender because you can make some really fucking crazy ass drinks and just get everybody drunken, boozed up, and just throwing it out. And then you just go over to chemistry and be like, hey, can I get some fucking LSD, liquid LSD to pour in my drinks? Yeah, party on time, sweet, thanks. Mix some LSD into my fucking beers and my martinis and shit, and there we go. And people start drinking, start hallucinating.
So this game is all about the chaos. It's pretty much all about the chaos.
It can be all about the chaos, but it could also be all about like just chilling, having a good time, and then all of a sudden, there's an alien infestation, and all of a sudden, like everything just kind of goes shit. Or you have, or people in engineering who are working on the actual engine of the space station, which is really fucking technical. Like, you have to know your things and know how engineering works.
Okay.
They throw oxygen into the supply line where the nitrogen should go into to fill into the generator to help boost power, and that oxygen just sends everything overloading, and basically all the steam pipes just start blowing up the space station just because some little fucker did that. Or it just said, I'm just going to increase the voltage from this over to that without actually changing wiring to cause a massive short in the whole system. Or you can have a scenario where HAL 9000 kind of takes over.
Yeah.
And the AI is just fucking with you the whole time.
Jeez.
Like, there's a lot of shit that, like, every time you play is radically different. But every scenario is also very different. Or, I'm sorry, every server is very different too, because they have different versions of the game or different mods. Like, they have a Fallout mod. They have an Aliens Colonial Marines mod where you just fight xenomorphs.
Okay.
Stuff like that. But the main game is being on the space station and just do your job.
Let us continue this mayhem.
Go for it. You'll like this tale.
His roleplay friendly name was Madick. An idiot, but a useful idiot. There were no medical staff on hand except me, so I said, hey, I know a little bit of surgery. Let me fix you up. I put him under general anesthetic and took out my syndicate PDA. With this, I can discreetly teleport a few traitor items into my inventory to help me achieve my objective, which in this case was murdering the head of security. I ordered 2 sets of voice-activated explosives which trigger upon hearing the recorded code phrase. I set this to the word most likely to be spoken by this mentally retarded human being. Can you guess what that is? I surgically opened his ass and inserted the first of the explosives. Then I lodged the second one neatly inside his chest cavity. Closing them up, I took off the anesthetic and began to put my plan in action. I would arm this simple-minded moron with illegal weaponry with the hopes that security would detain him on possession charges. I gave him all the LSD, all the chloral hydrate syringes, and an entire spray bottle of space lube. I had expertly equipped him to be the ultimate griefing machine. Proud of my work, I gave him a hug and set him loose on the world. But just before he left medical, he turned around and said, "Thanks, nigger." And we both exploded. My other times playing antagonist went about just as well. Once I started as the leader of a cult. Our objective was to seize control of the station and sacrifice our mortal bodies to summon a physical manifestation of our dark god. However, I wasn't very good at it, and neither were my servants. We found a nice, quiet, and most importantly, abandoned bar near the north end of the station, which we began redecorating with our own blood. You see, cultists need to learn a set of ancient words that's randomly generated every round. If you arrange them in the right order, you can perform different spells and rituals to advance your goals. We didn't get far, because the most dangerous thing to an incompetent cult is a single crew member doing their job. The fucking janitor found us. We tried to negotiate, convince him that it's actually crayon and not blood all over the floor, but that didn't work, so we tried to murder him instead. That didn't work either. He used his mop to slip us with soapy water and ran off to call security. As you can see, I'm not very proficient at being a traitor. More often, I find myself being abused by traitors. Some of the worst offenders in this regard are definitely wizards, since wizards have a bad tendency to sexually abuse me as well. Not too long ago, me and my friends played a round that was already in progress. As soon as we entered, we realized something was very wrong. An announcement played on the radio. Penis Inspection Day is in effect. All crew members must report to Doc Johnson for their mandatory penis inspection. Doc Johnson was, very clearly, a wizard. I knew what was coming, and yet I resigned myself to fate and went to medical reception. Doc Johnson was overjoyed to have new patients. He led me to a private room, asked me if I'm circumcised, and told me that I passed the inspection with flying colors. What a surprise, I thought. He's not actually gonna grief me. But I was wrong. As I turned away to leave, he blew off my ass magically. Hey, it's wizardry. I ain't gotta explain shit. Anyway, Doc Johnson is a terrible doctor. He left me bleeding on the floor as he took my ass cheeks and used them as a hat. Highly unprofessional, would not recommend. A round of Space Station 13 can be very intense. At other times, it can be very slow-paced and almost relaxing. If you're not a traitor and you don't have anything urgent to handle, you can always just roleplay and get comfy in a bar, while the piano plays anime songs and the jukebox plays whatever deep-fried ASMR bullshit people keep putting on. It's a very wholesome experience, and it helps you get emotionally invested with the other members of your crew, which are often nice people. However, security is often staffed by egotistical megalomaniacs acting out their most depraved power fantasies. They are often not nice people. As a result of their inherent propensity to be insane sociopaths, the rest of the crew will often rebel against their tyranny. In one such case, cargo had declared independence. Security refused to recognize the independent station state of Cargonia, so they tried to barge their way in and arrest everyone involved, including me. But security was unprepared for the trap we had in store. One officer rushed into cargo bay and slipped on a banana peel straight into the conveyor belt waiting for him. He tried repeatedly to get back up, only to be tripped again by an ocean of banana peels on the conveyor belt, which looped around in a circle. Surrounding that circle was another circle, composed entirely of vending machines. The officer was also being brutally assaulted by several hundred cans of soda. The vending machines were hacked, and as a result, they would continuously fire drinks at whoever is in the area. Each officer that slipped into the banana belt got smashed unconscious by a relentless stream of Discount Dan soda, trademarked, all rights reserved. After extensive head trauma by our soda turrets, security reluctantly accepted Cargonia's independence and their right to bear arms. If there's one one department that has more revolutions than cargo, it would have to be science, and it's easy to understand why.
Science.
We spend our lives researching away for the good of the station, which does of course carry its own share of risks and hazards. Sometimes accidents happen. Sooner or later, some bored and mentally challenged assistant will try and put a bag of holding into another bag of holding, and security can't always comprehend that we're not directly responsible for the resulting black hole eating through the kitchen. This lack of appreciation for the scientific profession usually ends with arrest warrants for the whole department, which is usually answered back with the words, "I'd like to see you try." But when we're not having a nuclear arms race with security, R&D is actually quite a chill department. I also made a great discovery last time I played there. Me and another scientist were messing around with blueprints and eventually made ourselves a pneumatic cannon. Normally, these are used to launch whatever items you have inside. What we didn't know
Kinda like
was
a
that it
shirt
could launch
cannon.
food as well. I loaded a lasagna, aimed for the mouth, and fired it at my fellow researcher. The lasagna disappeared. "What the hell? That's amazing," he said. "We just realized what happened. I had just managed to remotely force feed my fellow man. But what do we do with this forbidden knowledge? Nothing good, that's for sure." My comrade got to work asking chemistry for hallucinogenic drugs. They said no. So we built our own chemistry dispensers, filled up the beakers with happy juice, and ran straight to the kitchen. We injected all the donuts and hot pockets we could find with as much LSD and mindbreaker toxin as they could hold. Then we loaded them into our food delivery system and started firing off at everyone in the hallways. The food was instantly delivered. The crew was instantly satisfied. Several people, including security officers, managed to see the two small lines of text
watching
indicating
Futurama,
that they've just been fed something. They thought it was extremely clever and said they didn't know the pneumatic cannon could do that. Since it was just a bit of harmless fun, we got off scot-free. Minutes later, the hallucination started. Crew members started screaming on the radio. Some were puking, shaking, or convulsing on the ground. Medical couldn't keep up with the bodies. They piled on too quick, and most of the doctors were too busy fighting off non-existent entities to do anything about it. The chemist, who originally refused to give us LSD, was arrested by security on suspicion of intentional food poisoning. It was complete pandemonium, and I think it illustrates perfectly the chaos that is Space Station 13.
Everybody dies.
That's all I have for you today, folks. There is, of course, more stories to tell, but we'd literally be here for hours. Space Station 13, a marvelous, unique, and incredibly shitty game. 10 out of 10, don't play it, because if you do, they're gonna blame it on me, and I hate having cum in my mailbox. As always, more content to come, so stay tuned.
Fucking come in my mouth.
Again, who the hell makes a threat like that? I could understand a death threat, but why the hell? I was like, I will send you cum in your mailbox.
In your mailbox. Like, what the fuck?
Oh, God.
I wonder if that's actually happened to me. Like, just get the fucking Amazon box. It's like, what the fuck is this? And then just like on like duct tape fucking cum.
Enjoy.
Oh, shit.
Oh, God.
So yeah, that is Space Station 13. It is still up and running to this day, and that's just a small part. Like, he's just telling the stories of what can happen, but to go through the process of just like, okay, I need to mix these chemicals. This makes LSD. I'm gonna load it into the syringe. I'm gonna pop these donuts into it. I'm gonna put this donut into a fryer, deep fry the donut. I'm gonna add some sprinkles on it, put it on a plate, serve it to this dude.
Enjoy.
There's just so many systems all running all congruently, and it's like gotten to the point where some people don't even know how the system works. Like even like Dwarf Fortress, like there's just so much shit going on. You don't even know half the things that
it's held together
that
with
is going on.
It's held together with duct tape, bubblegum, and a prayer.
Literally, yeah. And probably the biggest communities is TG has a really big server that they do, and the Goon Squad, who built their own servers and really work to kind of continue updating and upgrading the system as much as possible. But the Beyond system is a beyond shit system. Like it truly fucking sucks. It's like you're going back to the days of AOL, like Windows 95.
Oh, God.
Like you look at it and you like when you run it, you think you're installing a virus. Like no fucking joke. The cool thing about it, and I really love this game because this is a very unique, very in-depth role-playing game that is just for the sake of role-playing. There's no ultimate way to beat the game. It's just there to have fun with other people, role-play, do your job. It's an amazing experience on a shitty client. It's a piece of shit game, don't play it. But the team that originally built it is looking to update it to the Unity, and they have it on Steam. They've gotten on Steam of last year called Unity Station. So they are currently working into building it using Unity with all the assets and kind of updating everything. And I joined the Discord server to see like some of the updates that they're doing. And it's kind of the interesting process of switching this from this server over to this, like, and seeing the process where they're trying to get atmosphere working correctly and some of the bugs that they're going through. Where I'm like, I was seeing this one point where they're testing atmosphere in terms of different areas and how it is working through there, and somebody was running into a bug where one room would depressurize faster than another one and would not regain at the same rate as something else. And they're like, I can't. Yeah, I'm running this thing. Dude tries to run it. I'm not recreating it. I don't know what the fuck. And it's like, oh yeah, I was able to recreate it. Yeah, you just open these two door locks at the bottom and you could easily see it. Like, what the fuck?
That is, I don't know. I feel like them recreating it now is gonna be even more toxic, especially on Unity. That game is toxic as it is.
But I mean,
and those people got along.
I mean, there's a lot of guys working on it, and it's not like a paid developer. Like these are just normal dudes in their spare time putting this whole thing.
I would use that word "normal" very loosely.
I mean, it's normal to a programmer and shit. So.
You can't be that. You can't be normal and make something like that. That is abnormal.
Yeah.
Oh God.
But I'm glad that they're putting it over to Unity to like upgrade everything, because that client, like, I mean, if you get more than 30 people on a server, that server just slows to a fucking crawl. And it's like,
what are they running a server on? Is it running on Windows?
It's the client. Yeah, the client runs on Windows, but it is so old. It was built back in '95.
No, I'm curious
Windows
as to what the server backend is running. I have to look at that.
But that client sucks.
But yeah,
it's a very old client where your controls are very simplistic. But like when you get more than 30 people, like you'll just tap left, and then maybe 5 seconds later your character will finally move left, and it's like, oh.
Yeah, it's based on a grid system, you know. And I could only imagine the netcode being extremely shitty, especially for today's standards. But
of course, with a client like that, like Beyond.
Oh man,
Beyond fucking shit.
I'm gonna have nightmares on this now.
It's just there's a whole bunch of fucking furries summoning a demon to destroy a space station. Fucking world. The whole time the chef is just making regular pies and has no idea what the fuck's going on until it's like
just disaster.
And then until all lights go out and it's like, oh, what the hell's going on? And steps right out and all this blood all over the floor. Nope, fuck this.
I love how the janitor's like, this is blood. No, it's not. It's crayon.
No, it's crayon.
It's crayon. No,
it's like what is this? The fuck's this?
Especially out of all people, you can't tell a janitor what a specific fluid is, because the janitor will always know what the fuck a fluid is. He's always cleaning it.
Crayon. It was like blood. No, that's blood. No, it's crayon.
No.
No.
I've cleaned enough blood in this station to know. So, I mean, damn. I know we're going to get a good amount of comments on this one. That this is...
I hope, because This is a very niche title, so I don't know if people are gonna check it out, but
I wouldn't say check it out, but I'm just saying, like, looking at that, it's just like, oh my god. I think he explained a lot as to like what to expect, and he warned people, don't play it unless you want come in your mailbox.
Now there was a Twitch streamer that did stream this game, and like it kind of brought a lot of people back into Space Station 13, and some of the older players are kind of a little reminiscent about this because new people come in, they see this like, oh, it looks like a lot of fun, like a social game, and this is not like GTA 5, which is getting that really social popularity with all the big Twitch streamers. Like, this is not that. Like, you can't just go in and start playing and figure this out, like, right off the top. Like, it is not intuitive whatsoever. Like, I have to have the client open. I need a FAQ open. I need a tutorial video. I had to watch things to kind of learn how the system works. And, okay, I want to be a bartender. How do I make these things? I need to have an FAQ open so I have all my ingredients lists. So I know, okay, I need this and this. What system do? What machine does this? Oh, I could get glasses out of this. All right, cool. Well, I need a glass. Now, where do I get my liquor from? Oh, okay, this machine, I can do it from this. Now, how do I mix?
Minecraft basically borrowed from that formula.
Kind of, yeah.
But it wasn't from that game. It was from what was the other one? Dwarf
Fortress.
It was Dwarf Fortress, I believe.
But Dwarf Fortress also built off of other roguelites like I can't even think of it. Rogue, duh. That's the name of the fucking game it's from. Rogue was like kind of the original Rogue randomized type game with so many little systems working within systems and kind of just really made that its own genre and kind of blow up from there.
Yeah.
And then I think Minecraft was more of a, here's where a world where you can simplistically create things and make it a survival. And then they kind of added more systems as time went on, and Mojang just added more and more to make it integral, more intricate. Like, I still remember when they first added in switches, and that was a huge update. Like
Redstone,
yeah. And it's like, okay, you can do switches now. How the hell does this work? You do redstone, you do this.
It literally, you could actually do an actual circuit. I've seen it. Friends of mine, when we all played, they did like a hidden door one time. So they literally laid out the circuit in because it follows the concepts of actual electronics and gates and stuff. So you could lay it out that way. For those that probably already have played it, have an idea. But I've seen even. There was a video where somebody actually made a computer within Minecraft, and it took up a huge portion of this map. It was insane. So yeah, that game is very detailed. But yeah,
pretty cool. Yeah,
pretty cool, pretty weird.
Yeah, like I said, the random things that just jump on my YouTube, and I'm just like,
Thank you for sharing that.
I think you might like this one. Hope you like them stories. Maybe next time I might throw you some Dwarf Fortress stories.
Yeah, that might be bad. I need that to cleanse what's in here. That clown. I'm not afraid of clowns or anything, but Jesus, this is weird placement. That clown just sitting at the door like...
No. Fuck clowns. You see them come to my bar, I'm like, oh, you son of a bitch. Get the hell out of here. Fuck.
Here's a special drink for you.
It's a bottle of cum. Bye.